chance to look at the minutes from April 4th, 2023.
I just had one comment.
I know when she emailed them out, to me anyway, she emailed the wrong minutes, so I don't know if you got the correct one.
Well, hopefully I got the right ones. I don't know.
I did not.
I'm paying attention.
Because she emailed me the ones from the previous week. So I'll give you a minute to take a look at those.
Steve, if it's something I need to change, I can change that when I get back up. You can approve these contingent on that. If I don't know about it before, I already have these printed. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
If
yeah.
there's a change that happens now and I have to reprint it, it's a process. Because that's up there and I'm down here.
Well, the only thing that I saw, and again, let's see. Oh, you're right. These are probably minutes from 2 weeks ago, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
Okay.
but the one that you've got in your hand, that's a current. She just emailed that this morning, so. Morning, Mark.
Yes, she's going through some stuff. Did you find your question, Steve?
I did, but since it's from 2 weeks ago, I'm not going to ask it. I'm good. I'm just going to shut up.
We'll talk later.
We aren't going to fix that. We're done.
So right now, we're just talking April 4th.
Gotcha.
And Steve's looking at that now, and if you didn't get it, you can look at mine, and everybody can sign after you look at it. I've got this one too, Stan, for the special joint meeting that you guys will need to, and only you can sign them.
All right.
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes.
Second.
All
Want me to
right.
sign this one?
Sign the one that Steve has.
Okay.
It's on the correct paper. And then pass it down to Stan and, or leave it there and he can sign, whatever. As you heard in the council meeting, we had that joint meeting on March 23rd. So we just need to approve this. Both bodies will have representatives that have signed it. I also sign it. This will all be entered into the record as well. So that just motion and a second to approve the March 23rd joint meeting minutes.
So move.
Second.
And just Stan needs to sign that one, so. All right. Oh.
Yeah, we're gonna take a look at that. All right, so that takes care of the minutes. So Mike, if you want to come on up, you got an invoice for us to look at?
It's
Okay.
for Veeam annual maintenance. Veeam is our backup software that we use to back up all the systems we have on, in the server. And the reason why it kind of came down unannounced is I just got that in. It was like 33 days left on current maintenance.
So you need to get it done.
Yeah, I just need to I need to put that into the system and get it paid. Now, I got in Fund 1,000, there's a line item, 35715. And the description is yearly maintenance. And there's enough to cover that invoice in there that I have mentioned.
Motion approved. Second.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to hear, Mike. Good.
There's money there.
There's money there. We knew it was coming. Here it is.
Yeah, yeah. Just thought this, by the skin of our teeth, and not gonna cover it. So,
Good deal.
Tony, do you need any of that repeated?
I just wrote down where you're paying it from and it was for V manual maintenance. Is that right? That's all I need.
Okay.
And don't write down the skin of the teeth part.
You need this back then, Mike, or?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's
All
paid
right.
to ESI though?
Yeah, ESI.
Okay, got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just while you're here real quick, one of the things that came up in council meeting was working on replacement schedules for equipment and stuff. So that's something that maybe we can look at in the change meetings sometime and see how to go about that process and helping departments decide and helping you decide, so we can consult with each other. And
Yeah, just something so we know that our current server hardware we got in 2016.
Right.
It's end of life next February, which means
So-
we can't get anything fixed on it.
So those discussions, I think we need to move forward. then,
Yeah,
so.
we need to move quick because, we still got to run off the old one and migrate the applications to the new
Yeah.
hardware. And, things are progressing in the power room, but we need to get more power and so on into that current server room
Okay.
because we're going to double the equipment for a while till we get everything transferred over. And sometimes we update the software and it takes a while. For instance, the sheriff's new software it's not like you just put it there. You got to migrate things over and you got to do all there. You're talking, what do you say, like a year possibly that we'd have to have both systems running, to be able to do that. They can't migrate everything over. So for historical reasons, they have to go back over here to get stuff while they're running off the new. And so you got to have all that, you got to double the equipment for a while,
Yeah.
Well, if we're going to change all the hardware out, we're going to have to double the equipment until we get all the applications migrated over to that. Then we can pull that out. So we need double the power, double the air conditioning, double the UPS. All that has to be doubled.
Well, let's kind of aggressively approach that schedule and approach that here
Yeah.
and just kind of make that a priority.
I just
So-
wanted to give you a heads up. I know we've talked about it before, but it's good to remind everybody about it. And that next February
Okay.
is the end date for the current hardware.
Okay.
And we're experiencing problems right now. We got 2 host servers, they're down out of 8. So, I got the maintenance a little bit, a few weeks ago. So now we're gonna try and get those repaired to make it through the rest of this year, because what happens if we have another 2 that go down for some reason? We've had hard drives and all the storage, everything's getting old now, 2016
Yeah.
to 2023, so.
All right.
Mike, I think what I heard sitting in the council meeting, and maybe you heard it too, I forget whether you were here for this discussion or not, but I think what council is going to ask you to do is to budget for the computer replacement in all the departments. And with a replacement plan and so on and so forth. So I know there's been a lot of discussion, even when I was back on council, discussion of whose budget is that going to come out of? Is it belonging in the department's budget to replace their own PCs, or is it belonging in the IT department? I heard pretty firmly that council is going to ask the IT department to budget for that. So I just heads up, I'm thinking about your budget for 2024.
And we have the computers that came in with Odyssey that the state furnished. But now they're starting to get some age.
Yeah, I
because
think
we've had Odyssey.
when you see those end of life plans, when you develop that plan that says, hey, I don't know what your life expectancy is of a PC these days, but just developing that plan and then budgeting to systematically keep those computers updated, I think is what, well, like I said, I know we debated back and forth whether that's the departments or that's ITs, and I felt like I heard pretty firmly that council was going to ask the IT department to manage that.
Yeah, well, we've always had to buy
Yeah.
them.
And I think that's part of the reason to go ahead and build it into your budgets, because I don't want departments buying
Yeah, they can't
computers
because
that
they
are,
can't even put them on.
well,
They
yeah.
can't put them on. the
And
network
and they
when
don't know
come
how
in.
to spec them. They don't
Yeah.
know what it takes to be,
So we
to work in our system.
we got some departments, Steve, that do have money
Yeah,
that they can actually buy them instead of us. You know,
right,
they
like,
got-
like probation, just
Yeah,
bought all
probation,
those.
or,
Yep,
You know, the sheriff's department, they got funds.
Yeah.
Jeremy Brown has funds over in prosecuting attorney in some of those places.
so maybe that all factors into the budgeting stuff, I
It
guess.
does.
Yeah,
And I think what we have to do is we have to look it through, and if those people have the ability to pay, but tell them, you can't actually go to buy them, but when they come in, I'll hand you the invoice.
Yeah.
You know, and then you just pay for them. And then the
Yeah.
people that don't have the ability to pay for it, then we can do that.
good deal.
So I think it's going to be a little bit of give and take and going with that. So
Good.
How many physical servers do we actually have that will need to be replaced?
8
8.
unless we, and what we did is we cut down on the reliance of anything dealing with PDI. So we've kind of been processing everyone off of it. We use VDI now for training rooms and things like that we have, where someone maybe needs to come in and they need to set on a PC and they don't have one there or something, or visitors that come in, So we'll send them down on the VDI machine. They work really well for that. With our dependence on GIS anymore, VDI machines are not the way to go, because there's so much visual that's going on with, the graphics and everything. I worked with, because we had so many people that said, hey, this remote meeting software and so on, it's not working right. So I asked VMware, I says, what do we need to do to make this work right? And they, well, let me see your hardware specs. Now, if you listened this morning, I told you that, in 2016, we spent $500,000 on the storage and those 8 servers at the time, some other stuff. They said, you don't have near enough hardware. Yeah, they said there's not enough horsepower there to do that with VDI. You're going to have to just, you're going to have double the equipment. You have to have graphic processing boards put in them.
So
You're going to have special stuff on the back end and all that. And I says, I'm already getting complaints about how much it's costing, and now you're telling me we're going to double it. We're going to go from $500,000 to $1 million for that. I says, that ain't going to go. So right away, I just shifted. We're going to fall off of VDI, because remote stuff is more of where we're headed on things, all that with the courts and that sort of stuff. So I started putting in a year ago.
Are we still running VMware for virtual servers?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's absolutely the way to go.
Yeah.
Virtual servers, we're right around 75.
That's what I thought, in the 8
Virtual.
boxes,
Yeah.
spread out.
If we had to go with all those in that room, I'd be coming and asking a lot more money for power and air conditioning and everything else if we didn't have VMware. Because, now you're talking about all those physical servers, there's 75 of them, let's say. You'd have all that going on. You'd have to power all those. And it's just the basis of how VMware works. We can get 15 machines on a VMware host server, and they can run pretty decent.
Are those Blade servers, or are those Dell Blade servers?
Currently they are. That's not the way I want it.
Okay.
They're very difficult to manage. They got built-in network stuff on the inside that you have to have certified people that are constantly being trained to do the hardware part, and it shouldn't be that way. So we're going to go with some traditional cookie box servers when I get them in, and they're going to be quite a bit less expensive, and we'll be able to manage them more with our own staff.
Okay.
Because right now, even when we try and find vendors from the outside to manage these Cisco blades with the distributed switches that they got inside, they have to go to Cisco to get them managed. Even the people that are certified, they're having difficulty with them.
What was the amount on that invoice again?
It is
Everything up with that.
$19,113
Okay,
and 60 cents.
thank you.
And you had budgeted $20,000 for Veeam yearly maintenance.
Got
I didn't know if it was gonna go up much.
All right,
Any other questions on stuff?
very good. Thank you.
Have you ever got any questions, see me? I'm always upstairs.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks for coming down, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
All right. Back to Tony.
I passed out the monthly clerk report Shelley Bright submitted. I would just seek a motion to go forward to approve entering her monthly clerk report into the record.
Make motion to approve.
All right, motion carries to enter that report into the record. Thank you, gentlemen.
We have Allied weekly health insurance claims. That is in the amount of $12,327.06, and that is all medical. Here, if you want to look at the second page, it'll show you that.
It is interesting how sometimes it's all medical, sometimes it's all.
The fund used to the property, so they also need to approve it.
Motion.
And sign it. Do you want to do that of your time?
Yes. All right, motion carried.
Okay. Next, we have payroll claims. Payroll claims are in the amount of $361,257.45, $361,257.45.
Is that down a hair? Or is that-
I think I might be down just a little, and I'm assuming that at times it could fluctuate if anybody's getting a little bit of overtime or something like that, I would assume.
All right,
So moved. Second.
And next we have accounts payable claims, which you all should have received. That is in the amount of $207,879.64, $207,879.64.
all right, any questions on those claims as they've been presented?
I have none.
No.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All right, motion carries to accept or to approve the claims as presented for.
Okay. Ed is busy with tax collection up there. I passed out to you his county treasurer's monthly report that we would like to get entered into the record as well, and that was submitted by Treasurer Dyer.
Make motion to approve.
Second.
Motion carries.
Okay.
We always appreciate Ed and Kathy and Kim's work up there. Also, just as of note, they are operating through this tax season with the three of them up there, trying to handle all the duties during this busy season without using part-time help. So they're trying to be as efficient. So we may see a little bit of overtime there that we didn't see, but we won't see the part-time expenditure.
Which having L&D Mail Masters helps a lot with that too.
All right.
Cuts out a lot of their work. But you still have to deal with the people that come in, so.
Yeah.
And the only other thing Mark is going to bring up later on that interlocal agreement, other than that, that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Tony. All right, Brad?
Good morning. The main thing I have today, I have a bunch of permits. This is for the projects for the sewer district though. So it'll be like just two different companies and that's it. So these are all for Miller Contracting and they are doing the Winchester Road project. So the first one is County Road 200 West between Winchester Road and they're going to stop 1,800 feet north of 750 North. County Road 900 North between County Road 250 West and Winchester Road. Winchester Road starting 2,800 feet northwest of County Road 750 North, ending at 200 West. Winchester Road, beginning at 200 West, ending at 900 North. And Winchester Road from 900 North, going 2,000 feet northwest of 900. So basically, you can kind of see they're just kind of getting all those roads up there and then running up Winchester.
Mhm.
So those are all for Miller contract.
Is there any expiration date when they do a permit like that?
Yes, I believe they have a year.
That doesn't say, some of that, they're not gonna start till this fall, probably.
Yeah, I believe it's a year. And that's from when they get we give them their, they can commence work. When we give them commence work, then they can, yeah,
They're still wrapping up their current project out there at St. Road, right?
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I believe they have a year to do this. That's it for Miller Contracting. And we've been up there, driven it all. You know, the nice thing with this one is there's only a couple places where they're gonna go under the roads and they're actually gonna bore them. They're not gonna open cut the roads, which is really nice.
Much of that gets bored anymore versus.
Yeah.
Make a motion.
Second. Hope you got your pens ready.
All right, motion carries.
So the second one, again, is for the Adams County Regional Sewer District underground contractors. They're working on the, I think they call it the Magley. They're going out to Magley. So while you guys are signing that, I'll go ahead and the first one is on County Road 500 West. They're going from Highway 224. They're going to end up 800 feet north of 750 North. The second one is County Road 600 West, beginning at US Highway 224, ending at 700 North. And the final one is County Road 600 West. They're going to start at 224 and they're going to end up 200 feet south of 500 North.
And you've looked at these again?
Yeah, we drove them, looked at them. And this one here, actually, this is going to be more the highway. And then like 500 West and 600 West, they're just going down them to get to the other places they're going to. They're not, again, they're not crossing the road. And that's it.
So that's the funny one.
So just some information while you guys are signing. Dust control, I want to make sure and just let you know that it is $2.90 a foot this year. It's went up, price of oils went up. So it was $2.72 or $4 last year. So it did go up. So far this year, we have sold, or the office ladies have sold 760 buggy plates. And last year as a total, we did right around the 2,600 mark. So we got to start on it. And I believe I mentioned
What's the end date on that?
May 15th.
May 15th, okay.
And I might have mentioned last week, but yesterday we had everyone starting their townships on the stone roads. You know, springs when we go out and we really hit them, start putting down a bunch of stone on them. And this year I felt fortunate. We didn't have a bad winter. We had a lot of days where it was fit. We had enough moisture in that they could go out and grade them. So I have felt, in my own opinion, the stone roads right now are in better shape than what they were normally at the start of spring, just because we didn't have very much winter. So they have started hauling, they'll work, some of them with a lot of stone roads, it's gonna take them 3 weeks. But I asked this morning before I left, and we typically spend about $100,000 just in stone this time of year. That's just on the stone roads, that's it. So we do put a lot out there. And other than that's all I got. So,
So if the roads were all chip and seal, we wouldn't have this trouble of putting stone on them.
if they were all chip and sealed, then we'd probably double our chip and seal budget. So basically,
Would
You
be
won't
less
have-
than having to buy stone.
$10,000 a mile. So like this year, we're shooting for 77 miles of chip seal, to put new on, not conversion. But if you would double that, and chip seal's right around $10,000 a mile. So if you would double our 77 to 140, so take another 70 times 10,000. Yeah.
100,000.
And there again, you guys know the conditions of some of our roads. It's easier to maintain them as stone and,
The only reason I'm asking this is I live in the southern part of the county,
Yep.
so I'm the 3rd district commissioner. And I've had quite a few people call and say, man, what do the people that have chip and seal roads have to pay to keep the dust down? I'm going, can you see where I'm going with this?
yeah, and that is correct. That is true. And I think we've talked before too, we have that new petition or process we started this year. People want to apply to get
I
their.
explained that to them.
Did you?
but
Okay, thank you.
I did. I told them to come to see your
Yep.
office.
So that process is active right now. I mean, they can,
Yeah, now granted, the people got to realize too, if they can get everybody in that section of the road to agree to give us the additional right of way so we can improve the side ditches, drainage and, possibly widen the roads because we're going 20 feet on them.
That's nine.
That doesn't mean it's going to get done right away. There's still a lot of work.
That's a different.
Puts them on the schedule, exactly, because there's still a lot of work that goes
Gotcha.
along with that, because we want to go out, we're going to check every culvert, crossover pipe, catch basin that's in that section of road. If it needs replaced, we're going to have to replace it. And if we're going to widen the side ditches, we're going to have to extend some of that stuff too. So it's not like that they're going to come in and have petitions totally filled out where everybody gave extra right of way, and it's going to get done that year. It's a process. Because then we're also going to come in, work on the side ditches, regrade all that, recut side ditches, do the drainage correct. But then you also got to figure normally on those roads, when we do convert them, we're putting an extra foot of stone or so on there. And that takes time too. Yes, it would get them on the list and get it started that way, and then we could start our
Brad, about how many miles of stone road do we have?
106.
And how much did you say dust control was?
$2.90 a foot.
Yeah, can't afford the dust control at all for the price of chip and seal.
I'm just, I
Yeah,
was just
I
bringing
know-
it to-
I know where you're
I was-
going.
I was
I know where
bringing it
you're
to your
going.
attention because I'm getting them quite a few calls because I know the price went up
Yeah.
and my phone's been,
Yeah.
my wife even said, will you just shut that thing off? So
So Brad, do you feel that covers the full cost of dust control?
Well, all we can charge for is oil.
Okay.
We don't charge anything.
Nothing for the
machines,
application or
nothing for
anything, so
labor.
that's just the oil.
That's all we can charge for. That's all we charge for is the cost of the oil.
So following up a little bit on where Steve's going with this, and I agree, it doesn't quite seem fair that we ask our Stone Road taxpayers to pay for something that mitigates dust on where our chip and seal taxpayers don't have that expense.
Yep.
So is there some middle ground there that we ought to talk about? Maybe we should pay part of that bill. I don't know.
how does that work
I
as
would
far
be
as,
for that.
an assessment? I mean, if your property value, is that affected by whether you're on a stone road or an improved road?
I wouldn't think so.
I don't think that, affects your property value at all. I don't believe.
You'd have to ask the assessor, I'm not sure how they calculate that.
You know that, what would it do to your budget if we said, no, we're not gonna raise the price, we're gonna eat that increase this year? That 20 cents a foot.
Well, obviously, I'll just tell you too, we've seen it before in the past. You know, of course, the higher the price, the fewer people that.
Yeah, I hear you, yeah.
But I can't remember, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago when I first started, the price was up. And we might have done like 13. Well, the price actually, there was a calculation mistake. We got it all figured out. And like last year, I think we did like 25 to 30 dust controls because the price was lower. So
What is the price different from last year to this year?
I think it was 272 last year or something like that.
About 20 cents to me.
It's
He was
about
rattling
20, I
off
think it was about
numbers
20
there.
cents.
So if we would just eat that 20 cents, what would that do?
Well, you figure 20 cents times a foot, 100 foot's our minimum, so that would be what, $2? Is that correct?
$20.
$20 per 100 foot. I can't tell you the total amount of footage we did last year. I do not know that off the top of my head.
Does your charge include trucking and labor?
No, that is,
So it's strictly.
oh, you mean for us?
Yeah,
Well, whenever we bid it out at the beginning of the year, we do our oil. That's how we do that. So it's so much a gallon for us. And then that's all figured in.
but when you figure the charge per foot, that doesn't include your labor.
No.
So that's just the oil.
It's
That's
just
that pays the
material.
cost of the oil.
So, you know, if I lived on a stone road and all I'm paying for is material, I don't pay anybody to come and apply it and maintain it. You know, I figure that's my choice, you know. I mean, I grew up on a stone road. We always paid Earl Furman to come and put oil on our road every year. You know, and I guess I never expected anybody else to pay for it so we wouldn't get dusty when we were working in the garden. But I don't know.
But I agree with Steve's point that if we could just, if I could just get you to pave my road, chip and seal my road, I wouldn't have to pay a dime
That's
to
true.
control my dust.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I don't know what it would cost us, but I would be in favor of eating that increase this year.
Okay, that's something I can look into.
See, I think, yeah,
The one
figure that
thing
out
also
for
to
us.
think about, so when we do, like, when we go and chip and seal over the roads already chip and sealed this year, put a fresh layer on at 10,000 a mile. Yeah, so I want to be clear, when we come in and build a road, we're gonna build that road up. So, you know, to actually convert a road is more than $10,000 because we got a bunch of stone and time and all that. I just want to make sure that the public's clear on that.
Yeah.
We want to do them right. We don't want to go in and just shoot what's already there because that's not.
Well, we can't afford to go in and chip and seal every stone road in the county. But there maybe is some middle ground for those that do live on a stone road that have that degraded quality of life, because I grew up on a stone road too, and that all summer, that is just nasty.
Yeah.
Maybe we should help mitigate some of that cost.
So what I can do is I'll go back and get our total amount that we shot last year, our footage.
Help
and then
us
we'll see-
understand what we're
Yeah.
talking about here, because
Exactly.
I have no clue whether I'm talking
Yep.
about $1,000 or $100,000.
Yeah.
And then where would the money come from?
Yeah.
If we decided we wanted to eat some of that cost.
I mean, basically, we'd have to pull it out of one of our other projects.
Right.
But yeah, I can do some research on that and get back with you.
Appreciate it.
Yep, not a problem.
That way Steve's phone will stop ringing.
Not other stuff.
Well, no, then it was a legit,
Yeah.
if they have a legit concern
Yes,
about that.
Exactly.
It doesn't quite seem fair.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Yep, I'll do some research.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Brad.
Thanks, Brad. All right, Rick?
Oh.
How's Rick today?
It's busy.
Or should I ask?
Just, I'm gonna give you some updates. As we speak, they're working on our chillers. and to get them up and running. They being trained, BTS, and Matt is here from Court Facilities too, so they've been down there about all morning. Going to be having a sprinkler test over at the courthouse this Thursday from 7 a.m. till noon. The system will be on test. It's our annual inspection for that. Also, we'll be doing a fire extinguisher test, checking all those in Superior Court and the Circuit Court Monday. It all was all up to date. The power room is, hopefully they're gonna start painting today. Getting that room
good.
painted, hopefully. They're mudding, they're sanding and drywall and cleaning it up.
Well, and obviously, like Mike was saying before, you know, that's a priority that we need to keep after 100%, so.
Hopefully we'll get it, be painted
Good.
today, tomorrow, and get some lighting in there. Elevator is still on schedule. They've sent me some schematics about, the button portion of them, but it's really nothing, it's the same thing. Tomorrow, Defiance County Commissioners is going to be a party of 7, wants to take a tour of our courthouse. They have a similar layout of our courthouse. What I gathered from doing this is they're wanting to modify their elevator to be handicap accessible and possibly maybe adding on to it. So they just kind of wanted to look at our courthouse. Stan told me that they had contacted them, they contacted me, so I enlightened Sheriff that they would be over there and the people over there, and we'll check in.
Yeah, I figured when they contacted me, I thought you're the man to schedule that and work it out and help
Kind of
them.
want to look at our heating system and so forth. So that'll be going on. I'd like to get permission to, over at Superior Court, especially one portion of the roof, the front entrance, the shingles on it, they're really bad, and every time we get a wind, they're off. It's not a very big roof, but I want to get some quotes for it, possibly change them. They're really not very good. So I think we need to address that portion.
I wonder how old that part of the roof is.
I'm not sure when that was
Pretty
added
old.
on there. I mean, I could try to look back at records and give you that answer. You know how the shingles just curl up and they're brittle. That's what they are.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Do you guys have any questions?
You know, one of the things talking about that building, I always cringe every time we have to put 10 cents into that building for court use, but, hopefully we'll be able to continue to maintain that building in some fashion, to where it's doesn't deteriorate.
Right. I think that's a key thing. I've not gotten a date yet on the roof here yet. I haven't, he's not pinpointed that down for us, but I know we're on the books to get it done.
Okay.
Anything? I guess.
Did you want to update anything on the final on the chillers? Or any news on?
Well, they're working on it as we speak. We're still not up and they're not running yet, but hopefully by the end of the day, they
Wow, excellent.
hopefully.
Okay.
I talked to Matt, or I emailed him yesterday. I think I copied you, Rick, but
Yeah.
we need to find out, if they're not, if it doesn't work properly with our controls, then we're gonna need to figure out what we need to do.
And if they don't work properly, basically, what that consists of is our water valves. And then it's basically the front end.
We discussed having to change those valves.
Yeah. So we'll just see what happens, transpires.
So the water valves don't just control it in the heating mode, they control it in the air
There's
conditioning
cold
mode too.
And there's hot water valves.
Gotcha.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay,
And if these don't function, I mean, we do have brand new chillers, but if they're not working properly,
right.
that machinery's no good, really. Just-
But well, even if it operates, it may not be efficient.
That's right.
Well,
That's another thing too, if they don't work.
Didn't we have a kind of a warranty or something on those valves?
Well, I think when we look back at it, and I'll have to go and refresh on this, you know, we were looking back, when was the last time they were replaced? And I believe some of them were, but not all of them. My goal was, prior to those chillers going out, was whenever we got a faulty one, let's pick a floor. Let's do 1A, let's do 2, you know, and I budget for it, and then we could get it done. But if that's not the case, maybe who knows what it is. So we'll see what the cold water valves are.
Well, and the other thing, you know, we didn't know when all the valves had been replaced or if they'd been replaced. So if we've got that determined, you know, the other thing that Matt keeps talking about is our building automated systems.
Yeah.
So, you know, if the valves are in good shape, then, you know, I know he's gonna be bugging us about that as far as whether we wanna change any of that too. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
Mark, if he talks to you too, you know, I think maybe, I don't know what he's gonna do or anything, but, you know, as far as Hable, we didn't want to go back to a priority system. I mean, that's kind of, before the chillers went out, we kind of talked about that
So that'll be the next conversation anyway.
at a later time. Exactly.
Yeah,
Just wanted to put that up.
yeah.
Yeah, you've got the software that runs things, but then the actual valves is how it operates. Software tells the valves what to do and when.
Exactly.
So if we updated the software, then it'd be a lot easier for Rick. He could control it remotely or whatever.
Theoretically,
And it wouldn't be quite as proprietary then.
yeah.
Right. Well, it wouldn't be in a matter of speech held hostage just to that one.
Yeah. Well, we'll have that conversation once we get the thing up and running.
Um,
And everybody in the offices are sitting there with sweaters and coats on because it's too cool in the building.
What else I can stand Stan has asked me to possibly help out with Golden Meadows if they come into some issues out there as far as their maintenance areas.
Yeah, I appreciate that because you know, I don't want them to feel like they're on an island out there.
So, and Rick, that doesn't mean you have to go run out there and do it. Maybe you just help them find a resource or whatever. We can't spread you so thin that you can't get anything done. But I understand that they need a resource.
I think it's just like Stan said, just so they have some reinsurance that we're here.
You bet, understood.
I think they can handle what they have going on out there. That's all that.
All right. Thank you, Rick. Very good. Jeremy, did you want to come back up?
Asked out all the just here process. And whatever other process you
how you want to go about this, if you want me to go line by line. Basically, we've identified some liabilities over the years that need to be addressed. I've talked to you guys for the last several months on some of this stuff. Now it's time to actually pull the trigger and get some of this work completed. So if you start on the covered bridge improvements, covered bridge park improvements, solicited 4 quotes for a pavilion floor. TG Concrete was 8,704, 8,704. It's a low bid. On the parking lot improvements, what we're trying to do here is to eliminate a lot of liabilities, trip hazards, and make these parks ADA compliant. So to cover bridge, there's some asphalt work up to the bridge and to clean up some of the parking. That total, that low bid was $53,875 for a total requested today at 4/11/23 and $62,579.
Wonder why the difference between Brooks and Wayne? That's huge.
Brooks had plenty of work.
Oh, gotcha.
They did the same thing. I even called the question. The square footage, square yards and everything. So.
Well, it's obvious you've made every attempt to get bids, at least a minimum of 3 bids, some of them not responsive. So are we okay, Mark, as far as, with the attempts at bids that he's got to?
Yeah, you've solicited 3 quotes and we got 2, so you solicited 3. I've got an ordinance for you to review and adopt here, so we may adopt that ordinance before you approve any of these.
You want to go over that first?
Well, we can review this stuff and then we can do that ordinance and then come back to this. So.
Okay.
But yeah, it looks like, so the pavilion floor, is that at the covered bridge parking lot?
Yes.
Okay,
Cover bridge, there's a pavilion that the floor's all busted up.
okay.
We're making it more user friendly.
So yeah, you solicited 4 quotes on the pavilion floor. We got 2 and TG's the low, right? Okay. And then on the parking lot, solicited 3, we got 2. Wayne Asphalt is the low bid. So that one, that's, you guys could award that today if you want. Then we've got the others. I know that then on the actual covered bridge itself, the painting and repair of the covered bridge, we've got 2 quotes on that, I believe.
Yes, you would ask back, I believe, whatever meeting, it was January, February meeting, to get some quotes on it to see where we were at.
Yeah.
I
Is
did
that
solicit those
still-
quotes. Yes. I did solicit those quotes. The final one came back this morning during council, so.
Yeah, I saw
You
that.
guys have those for consideration.
Yeah, that was RJ Zacharick.
Yep,
Turned in a bid of about 69,000.
yep.
And then, but Limberlost was low at 30 something,
30,800.
30,800.
I did solicit a third quote from Milestone, which used to be Primco. They declined to bid due to their schedule.
Good.
So Limberlost held, this bid was from November 29th, so he held that bid clear from back then.
Yep.
So you got a good bid on that. And then we've got the quotes on the work for the pickleball courts, and looks like three quotes listed on the asphalt. Brooks Construction is low on that. 23,323. And then an option add boards, that's 10,512. Are all 4 of those in the Wayne Asphalt bid at 46 or?
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, Brooks is still low bid.
Brooks is still low.
Yep, okay.
So the apples to apples comparison, there would be 46,350 from Wayne versus 33, whatever those 2 are together from Brooks. Okay,
So Brooks is still low.
okay.
I think I saw on the Brooks quote, that was good for 14 days. So if we want to do that, we need to do it before prices go up.
And that's another reason why I was here today. I was hoping to have more of these quotes ready, but
it's getting into asphalt season. We want to jump on a lot of that stuff before the summer gas prices start to go up higher and higher, so.
And then we've got
The future costs there, I'll probably come back in another month after we determine, we get the sub base and everything down for the courts.
Yep.
Get all that firmed up to make sure we're not way over budget, because we don't know what's underneath,
okay.
for sure.
And then you got the Lynn Grove, park improvements.
Yep, real similar. TG's same price, 8704. And asphalt on this one, actually, KBL Transport as well.
Good.
We're spreading it out amongst, I do want to say that everything so far has been relatively under budget. There's still some other things we would like to address, but it's more of getting ADA compliance and stuff
Yep.
situated before we go into some of this.
Jeremy, if I remember correctly, this is coming out of the ARPA funds that has already been approved by council to come out of the ARPA funds.
Correct. I'm just going through the permit.
Yep.
Permission today to
Actually let the bids.
go through the procurement. The only thing that you did not approve was the covered bridge, because you were requesting additional information.
Well, the pickleball and the covered bridge have not been approved. Well, the pickleball was approved by council, but you guys did not include that in what you approved, so you would still have to decide on that, and I believe the covered bridge as well. If you guys approve that, then that probably would have to go back to council to appropriate ARPA money for that.
I thought you said we did approve.
We didn't approve the big ball. We
No,
approved the covered bridge.
you approved the computer purchase.
Okay.
I'd like to take these one at a time.
Okay.
Well, before we do anything, let's go through the ordinance and get that adopted, because we've got two separate ordinances here. So this first one is ordinance 2023-9. That just has to do with the creation of the fund to receipt proceeds from the sale of the county farm ground, if that in fact sells. And we have a closing, and this ordinance creates the fund for those proceeds. And the proceeds will be deposited into the county general fund. Do you have a fund number created yet for this, Tony?
I think we do. Is it not listed in there anywhere?
No, it's not, well, there's a blank here for it, but it's just, whereas
Let me-
the fund number, whatever number you established, has been established to reserve funds to be applied towards or toward the anticipated cost of construction, repair, and renovation projects of Adams County buildings and facilities. And so this ordinance therefore creates the fund, and the proceeds will be deposited into the fund. Be used for reasonable and necessary construction, renovation, and repair of current and future county buildings and property. All expenditures from the fund will be subject to appropriation procedures as set forth in the code. It will be perpetual fund.
This is the ordinance that.
The one that council approved earlier.
Yep, council approved it earlier today, but it's approved by both bodies. Interest generated by the money in the fund would stay in the fund. Effective on adoption, just need a motion to approve this ordinance then 2023-9.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion carries to approve the establishment of that.
Give you a phone number if we have it in a minute.
All right, so send that down for signature.
I didn't know if that fund would be in this report already or not.
I don't think so.
Probably didn't.
All right,
Yeah, there's nothing's been put into it or anything yet
all right.
until we sell the farm.
All right, the next is ordinance 2023-10, which is ordinance of Adams County Board of Commissioners designating purchasing agents for Adams County and establishing a purchasing and procurement policy and a designation of authorized agents. The purpose of this ordinance is to establish Adams County Board of Commissioners as the purchasing agent under the Indiana Code, which is authorized to designate agents, purchasing agents, and establish policies and rules for public purchasing as defined in the code. Designation of purchasing agents. Adams County Board of Commissioners is the purchasing agency. It also hereby designates it as also the general purchasing agent on behalf of Adams County government. You're authorized to designate purchasing agents and delegate authority to the other purchasing agents named herein. The following are designated as limited purchasing agents, and it is the county elected officials and appointed department heads. So you've got the auditor, assessor, treasurer, recorder, clerk, surveyor, building and planning director, extension agent, Golden Meadows Home administrator, sheriff, coroner, prosecuting attorney, veteran service officer, emergency management director, county council, judge of circuit court, judge of superior court, chief probation officer, weights and measures inspector, health officer, park and recreation director, highway superintendent, county highway engineer, and welfare director. The limited purchasing agents shall have authority to purchase supplies and services on behalf of Adams County, subject to final approval and allowance of the claim by the Adams County Board of Commissioners. Said purchases shall be subject to the threshold limitations imposed by statute and established herein. So Section 5 is the procurement thresholds and procedures. If said purchase is within the budgeted amount for a particular item or class of items pursuant to the department budget as appropriated by the Adams County Council, said purchase may be made without first obtaining quotes or bids or obtaining approval of the Adams County Board of Commissioners. That's for purchases less than $5,000. If said purchase is not within the budget amount for a particular item or class of items, then the designating purchasing agent shall obtain at least one bid or quote and present the same to the Board of Commissioners to obtain approval for said expenditure. Purchasing agent shall designate the source of funds to be used for the purchase and obtain an appropriation of funds from the Adams County Council if an existing fund with sufficient balances or balance cannot be identified and approved by the Adams County Board of Commissioners. So I added that sentence here. So if it's under $5,000 and it's in their budget, they can do the purchase. If it's under $5,000 and it's not in their budget, then they need to identify where are they proposing to pay, what fund are they proposing to pay for the purchase. And if necessary, if the commissioners can't identify a fund, then they need to get an appropriation from county council. So I wanted to make sure that's in there. Then purchases between $5,000 and less than $20,000. Designated agent shall obtain at least one bid or quote and present the same to the Adams County Board of Commissioners to obtain approval for said expenditure. So instead of 3, if it's between 20 and 50, they need to get at least 2 quotes. And that's your local rule for procurement. The statute says purchases under 50,000 follow local procurement guidelines, and that's why we're establishing this as the guideline. Purchases over 20,000 but less than 50, the designated agent shall solicit and attempt to obtain at least 2 quotes and present the same to the Adams County Board of Commissioners. Purchases between 50 and 150, then they do have to solicit 3 quotes, and purchases over 150, then that's competitive bid, and then they'd have to solicit sealed bids. This procurement policy established by Adams County applies to all expenditure of county funds, also including spending of ARPA funds appropriated by the Adams County Council, and it's effective upon adoption. Any questions on this?
You said that under 50,000, we set the guidelines. Over 50,000, the state sets the guidelines. So within our ordinance, why would we not just say over 50,000, we follow state guidelines?
Well, we do, but I want it spelled out so everybody knows.
I understand that, but when the state changes the guidelines, then we're in trouble.
Mhm.
That's the risk we run when we re-quote state guidelines in our local ordinances.
Yeah, but they haven't changed that in quite a while. If they change it, we'll change our ordinance, but
Yeah. We always think that.
I understand. If anything, they're gonna lower it. Okay. That's what they've done in the past. They've lowered the thresholds instead of increased them.
The fund number for that use fund that you were asking is 4121.
4121.
There's anything in it yet because property hasn't been sold yet.
Yep. Yeah, it actually used to be over 50,000. You had to have sealed bids.
Yeah.
And then they changed it to 50, between 50 and 150, 3 quotes.
Okay.
So they've actually lowered the requirements. And so, unless they raise it again, which I don't see them doing, they could potentially lower it again. You'd still follow,
Okay.
your
So
own.
it's always my preference whenever we just abide by the state. We just say we abide by what the state says versus requoting. I've been caught too many times having ordinances that are in conflict with the state because the state changed it and we cited what the state said 10 years ago and now the state changed it and we're out of compliance. But I'm fine with that for today, but that's always
On
my-
something like that, if they introduce legislation for that, we're gonna see it.
Okay.
County auditors are gonna know about it and we'll see it.
Reason they did
It's
that
not
was 10
uncommon
years
to
ago.
do the same thing about a year and a half.
I know.
That's the
What's
only
that?
reason.
I said that, it's not uncommon, we had to do the same thing about a year and a half.
And the only reason.
We amended all of ours.
Is this a new ordinance for us or updated ordinance?
It's updated. I mean, but we haven't really spelled out what our procedures are under 50 and that's why we're doing this.
Gotcha. All right.
Every year you're elected, you get that, man. Okay. But motion approved.
Second.
All right.
All right, I'll send that down for signature. So basically,
We moved on.
We went on from that one.
but if we had an audit of ARPA funds and they say, okay, well, what procedure did you follow? We can say, well, we followed our own procedure. And then they're going to say, well, we want to see a copy. Here it is.
Gotcha.
We will be having that audit this year.
Good deal.
You've already told us they're going to be coming soon. Federal and 2 years of.
All right, so there's 2 of those for signature.
Jeremy, can we let Jeremy go buy something now that we've approved the procedure by which he can buy something?
Yes.
It's way too easy, now it's too quick.
Now you can go back.
Now we can go back to work.
Now you can go back to spending.
Okay. Joking me, Tony, joking.
I got my headline, way too easy and quick says Joe.
No, don't put that.
All right, you want to look
Figuring
at
out this process, no, put that.
you want to look at the covered bridge park improvements then? You got the pavilion floor, solicited for quotes. Looks like TG Concrete is the low bid at 8704. Is that something you want to do today?
Are we doing the whole covered bridge now or just the floor?
I was just going to go through the
Okay.
quotes here.
Do you need a motion then on the floor?
Yeah,
All right, I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay. Bid from TG Concrete is approved for 8704 on the pavilion floor at the covered bridge.
all right. Then you got the parking lot improvements then for Covered Bridge Park. Looks like Wayne Asphalt's the low bid on that at 53,875.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve Wayne Asphalt as a successful bidder for parking lot improvements at the covered bridge for 53,875.
And then on the Lynn Grove pavilion floor, Lynn Grove, looks like TG's concrete's the same, 8704, low bid.
So move.
Second.
Okay, motion to award that bid to TG Concrete for 8704 for the pavilion floor.
And then on the asphalt work, on the parking lot, handicap areas, looks like KBL Transport is low bid. Is that 2890? Here,
Yeah, 20,890.
okay.
Yep.
Motion approved.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve to award that contract to KBL Transport for asphalt work on the parking and handicap areas.
All right, then you've got pickleball courts at Riverside Center. Looks like Brooks, is the low on the asphalt at 33,000 and change. So I have to add that up, but
33, 35.
So you're recommending, do option number 2 and add 2 more courts for an additional $10,512.
Yeah, I think for the, in-kind service that the city's putting towards the project and doing a lot of the demolition, we could add those 2 courts really easy and keep it all within our money that we set aside.
Jeremy, would you mind reviewing again the in-kind service? I know one of the things that I had asked you early on was why the city wasn't participating in this, and I think you've gone back and created kind of an answer to that. I'd just like to hear that again, please.
Yes, originally, the quote from Lane Asphalt, if you would pay Lane Asphalt to come in, and, do this whole entire project, it was almost $70,000. So what I did is I went back to Wayne and said, okay, take out everything but putting asphalt down. You know, because all they were gonna do was take part of the fence down. And we were still gonna have to pay somebody to put it back up. They were gonna come in and they were gonna do the base work, pave it, paint it, the whole 9 yards. Well, to get everybody's buy-in on it, what the city, and the Caters has agreed to and the park board has agreed to was we would take a lot of my workers through Public Works, would do all the demo work, remove all the sand, haul everything away. The city would supply all the stone, prep the sub base, remove the trees. There's several trees through there. If you turn the page, the way this printed, it's kind of weird. To have the area ready for contractors to do the work. What this accumulates to, just on labor alone, is it's about 3 weeks worth of labor. 40 hours a week that the city is going to put towards the project, and then also it's.
1 man, 2 man, 3 men?
No, you're talking about 6 probably. And then also, there's a local lady that she sits on our city park board that applied for a grant to help pay for some of the netting and the posts, which if that's awarded, that's going to be an additional $3,000 put towards the project. So I think we're pretty good with where we're at. I talked with the pickleball group. They're willing to do a lot of the painting and the striping and stuff. So everybody's kind of has their hand in making this work and staying within budget. But at this point, all I would ask for, until we see what the sub base and stuff is to be able to, at some point, give Brooks the green light to lock in the pricing, because the pricing is only good for 14 days for the asphalt.
Well, it looks like your in-kind services are of considerable value to the project. And like I talked to you before, if you need any help, and I don't know if we could approach Brad and his men and equipment to see if there's any services we could offer also, but it sounds like you've kind of got the crew and the equipment to handle.
And before we close out of everything, I do want to talk about one other thing at the covered bridge I talked to Brad about, but we can finish this one first.
Okay, gentlemen, how do you feel about this?
I'll make a motion to approve. Steve, I know you're struggling with this one.
Yep. I'm still struggling with the pickleball court, so.
No.
um,
Well, it's part of the Parks Department, and it is a hybrid system between the city and the county, and we've all cooperated to work together. So council has approved the money, so.
Is the motion, Steve, that you're making to approve option 2 for Brooks Construction, just to lock in that price only.
Yeah, I'm approving the bid from Brooks Construction for $33,835.
Okay.
Option two, yeah, with option two, yeah. That's my motion.
So I'm gonna,
So, yeah, if you don't feel,
no, I don't feel comfortable.
I'm gonna go ahead and second that motion, kind of based on the information we have and the efforts that the city is putting towards it, and the council has approved the money towards it, so I'm gonna go ahead and second that motion.
So yeah, just showing the minutes, 2-1, that way, you know, Steve, you did not vote for it.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't even have to say, and all those in favor say aye. Yeah, well, we do appreciate your work on this, and like I've said many times before, I appreciate the cooperative effort because, you know, it's just, we're in this together. So,
We do have one other thing that's Covered Bridge. There was a trail that we had put in several years ago that runs from the snow cemetery over to the Covered Bridge, actually just through the woods section. In a lot of these numbers that I presented in October, November, December, and January, there was some money figured in for some stone, to restone that, or add stone basically to that path. You're probably looking at about $5,000 to $7,000. I talked to Brad this morning. Brad's willing to haul us the stone as long as we place the stone. You know, so it's more of just a supply, basically an operating expense. You guys have an issue with that, paying it out of these funds since it's all tied to the Covered Bridge Park.
yeah, I certainly don't. Brad, do you want to speak to that at all?
No, we talked, I just said, if they got an account, we'll go to the quarry, get the stone, and it gets billed right to their account, we'll truck it for them, just to help out.
This is way under budgeted anyhow on that Covered
So,
Bridge.
so far, everything's
Yeah,
gonna be under budget. We're gonna have some things, some additional, but like you said, I wanna deal with what we need to do first.
And the budget being what was approved to come out of the ARPA funds, right?
Right.
Okay.
I'll make a motion on that.
Second.
very good. The other thing too, while we're on that, talking about cooperative efforts, you then, you know, that connector trail from the Lynn Grove Park or the Covered Bridge Park to the South Adams Trail, that South Adams Trail and the bridge across the Wabash is recognized by the state as a premier project that was done. So we're also going to be recognized on April 27th down at the state for that project. So, you know, I think those are some pretty neat projects that have happened here.
And just to make you aware, there is a little bit of a section I don't have a price on yet. And it's from where the trail starts at the snow cemetery to, it's basically a connector to South Adams Trails. It's probably only about 15 feet long.
Oh,
That was left out for some reason when they put the trail in. We put our trail in first before South Adams Trails. It was more of, we didn't want to drive it during construction. It was supposed to have been paved during the construction, just kind of on a gentleman's agreement while it was forgotten. So at the same time, I would definitely like to have Wayne pay that little stretch. I do not have a price for that yet, but you're probably only talking just a few $1,000s. So
well,
I'll
it
get
looks
you-
like even if you do that, you'll still fall within budget.
Yeah, by far.
Yeah.
So I just don't want to have them run all the way back there when they're already down there doing the parking lot and stuff.
Right.
It wouldn't be cost effective.
That last vote you just made was to do what exactly again? Haul stone?
We didn't vote on the haul of stone.
No, the county's gonna haul the stone. We voted to put the stone in.
It was to buy the stone and improve, put that connector in.
Okay, and that was between 5,000 and 7,000, is
Between
it?
5 and 7. I don't have a definite pullback yet.
Yeah.
And basically, like I said, that's an operating expense. But we don't have a lot in this year's budget for parks.
All right. Do we want to talk about the covered bridge itself?
I have time if you have time.
Yeah, I would like to address that.
Okay, back in probably January, council meeting, we talked about, the covered bridge and some repairs needed to be made. The trusses need to be tightened up, there's some wood that needs to be replaced. And also, the bridge needs painted. It's fading real bad, it's actually somewhat of a pink bridge now instead of red. We talked about it. Talked to Mike Swartz from Limberlost Construction just to get a rough idea. And he gave us a number on it. We presented the proposal of doing the work to you guys just to get some feedback in January. You never really moved on it. You just decided, hey, let's figure out, good numbers, what we're looking at, and then we're circle back towards it. So just to get an idea where we were at, through the procurement process or the quote process for this, I did send proposals out for that work. I sent a proposal to Promco, which is Milestone, that did your steel bridge here, South Adams Trails, or just south of 850. They looked at it, they declined to close on it. I went back to Mike Sports and asked him to update his quote. He updated that for, I believe it's $30,800. And then I also asked Milestone at the same time to just give me a comparable person to also give me another quote. So I don't have that for you, if you could read it. Or Jay.
Oh, yeah, I've got it.
The 69,000? Is that what the hell it is?
The only thing he talks about in the Zachary is all work is quoted with the use of aerial lifts. Some rock will be added in shoulder areas to provide access and removed or left on site as the owner desired. The work is planned as summer or fall work. So I guess that's essentially the same specs as what Limberlost is doing.
Yeah, it's 69,000 even.
Yeah, so you're about half the money. And you could keep it local if you wanted to do the work.
Well, I would certainly entertain a motion to go ahead and approve the contract or proposal as presented by Limberlost Construction. So I don't know how you guys feel.
And how is this, where's this being paid for? I don't think this was ever part of the ARPA
Did we not
process.
talk about this as part of the ARPA funding?
I don't think so. So if you approve it, it may have to go to council to approve the appropriation,
Funding?
wherever where the funding should come from.
You know where this would, you have an idea where the funding would come from for this one?
Julie Marie and I talked yesterday about possibly Cuban Bridge or through the ARPA funds. Because there's not enough money in the maintenance. You actually have a separate maintenance fund for that bridge.
Yeah, and I think that, I'm looking for that line on
Bridge
that
maintenance
bridge.
fund.
I think there's only about $14,000 in it right now, if I'm thinking right.
Yeah,
You're talking about the covered bridge.
It was really small when I looked at it.
And
too.
Randy, he said something about he's gonna file for a grant to help cover some of this.
He's trying.
He's trying.
yeah.
But I'll see him in the morning.
Did I hear last night that he's got $5,000 from somewhere to help with this?
It sounds like he's gonna get to 5,000. I would just ask that you approve up to, and then
If we get grant funding, then it would
we
be
get the grant funding, and
less.
that's the second money back to you. Because all Randy's money would do is pay to tighten the trusses.
Yeah, it was very specific, wasn't it?
Should we use that money out of the covered bridge fund and then the remainder out of Cume Bridge? Is that what you would look to?
We normally only run just a few thousand a year on maintenance that's paid out of there. Not sure how fast that recoups every year,
You just
or how much comes into that account. I should say.
You just talked about taking this year's funding out of the covered bridge maintenance fund, Stan?
You have to go back and
And
look.
then we would add that 5,000 too that we'd get because that would be for the
You'd think so,
tightening the
yeah.
trusses.
Trying to find
So we'd
that.
almost have 2/3 of it.
Yeah.
Am I looking at that right?
I'm still trying to find that dang line item on covered bridge maintenance in the budget. I know I just saw it.
You talked about getting this from the ARP money too. It was possible. So this is basically try and do that, and if we need to go back on this, correct?
I think you're gonna have to go to council to figure out where to pay for it from, but we take them some options. First option may be ARPA funds, yeah.
Okay.
Second option would be,
Our covered bridge fund right now is 16,293. Year-to-date receipts are 31,2591. No, year-to-date receipts, 16,293.99. I was looking at the wrong line. So year-to-date expenditure is 0. So that's what's in that fund right now.
yeah, there is a fund there with 16,000 in it, 16.
In 2022, there was $1,850 put into that fund. So if that's the amount that's approximately put in every year,
Yeah, it's
it
not
doesn't
like-
grow very fast.
Yeah.
Like I say, you do have a little bit of maintenance on it.
Actually, that's every year, 1,850.
Well, if we approved 132.8 already out of ARPA and we're only using 70,000 for there's still 62,000.
We could use the remainder that was not used
Yeah,
to.
for this.
to put.
It would
Yeah,
still,
well,
it would
we
still
don't
need
have
to
all the
be,
projects and stuff identified in those parks.
Oh,
what,
we don't?
what isn't paid out of ARPA doesn't go anywhere, it stays there. So if you come in 60,000 less, that money just stays in there.
ARPA For another project.
It's not like you approve this much, and because you have 60,000 left, you can,
I'm not saying that. This was still covered bridge because it was all covered bridge. We approved.
nothing
132.8.
about covered bridge has been approved by the council for payment anywhere.
Okay.
ARPA or anything else. You guys do that first, then in May, they determine, like Stan said, if you want to give them a couple of options to pay it from
All right,
different
I
places,
follow you.
yeah, that'll be their decision at that time.
So we just need to approve the project and let Jeremy and the council figure out how to fund it.
But I'll say that covered bridge fund itself, it only gets 1,850 put in every year. So if you take that down too low, you won't have it for a while, but you may not also have,
It looks to me like we're basically
Work out of-
rebuilding the whole bridge. We're doing a significant amount of repair to it. Repainting and tightening everything. I wouldn't
Yeah.
think we would
so
have.
you might not have much coming out of that for a while
Somebody runs
anyway.
into it with a,
Well, and that was the other thing too. I know that's why Tim Barkey before me always wanted to leave something in it, just in case.
yeah, I don't think we want to drain it.
Yeah.
But I think we could use some out of it. Obviously, it's been building and building and building it's got 16,000 in it, and if we add 2,000 a year, it's we
Yeah.
effectively have 8 years worth of growth sitting there in the fund to be used for
And I
something.
mean, you guys will be here at that May meeting when that's discussed. And they will ask, where did you, so.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the proposal from Limberlost, funding source to be determined. Hopefully we get some grant money, hopefully we get some, and the council, I think, will probably advocate that you take some out of that bridge maintenance fund.
I'll second that.
All right, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Jeremy.
Is everyone satisfied with the process so far? I don't need anything else other than the covered bridge.
I hate it that it feels like it's yours. Could we have just a little bit of blood yet? Just a little.
I'm not satisfied, it's way too much typing.
I'll be back in May though.
All right.
I'll just copy and paste.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Well, you're
Jerry.
doing a good job
Thanks
for
for
us,
taking
Jeremy.
care of my
Thank you.
bridge.
It feels like a convoluted process to me, but, you know, I've been going to the park board meetings and everyone I go to, I learn a ton.
Mark, did you have anything else other than the ordinances?
Did your.
No.
Okay. Shannon, did you want to come up? Did you have any? Okay. Oh my gosh, that's the fastest we've ever checked you guys off the
Mark,
list.
did we have a replat or something today? Did you bring,
No, I asked him to come down.
well, last week, the commissioner signed as landowners that county property farm thing. Does that now have to be approved again at this meeting?
I don't believe so. We're gonna wait and see how things sell before
Oh,
we.
that will be after the sale of the farm?
It actually already approved it. But we didn't record it.
Right, it won't be recorded, and I just didn't know if there was another step they had to take today in signing it as a governmental body and not as landowners. That's all I was asking.
I think so.
But I'll let Mark, if Mark answers that, then I'm good with
We'll
it.
wait till after the sale, then we'll decide what to do.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. Anything from general public? Vernon, did you want to speak?
On what's going on.
Okay, you want to come up front and we can talk about it and see? So that's why when I saw you were here, I asked Mark to come down too. I thought, well, whatever we need to discuss, we'll be happy to talk about. So,
Well, I guess I've not heard anything from them since May of last year,
okay,
when I was at their board and they revoked my permit.
them being the plan commission or board of zoning appeals or, okay, gotcha.
And then you gave me a courtesy call, or you gave Dennis a courtesy
Yeah.
call. You got hold of me. So I guess I'm not sure what's going on. You know, they changed my zoning. Does that
Hey,
change?
hang on a second. Hey, Tony, if we can have Mark involved in this conversation, I would appreciate that. So, okay. So they changed your zoning, you said?
They
Okay,
revoked the permit, and Mark said at the meeting that reverts back to ag zoning. So does that change all the court orders? What about the stuff that is on my property that is ag?
if that reverted back to ag zoning, I don't know if that changes any court orders, Mark.
Well, there was no zone change. It was a Board of Zoning Appeals that was special use. So it's always stayed ag. They just got a special use for it 20 years ago or whatever it was. To do a certain type of business with an agreement of how it's to be done. And so over the years, trying to actually get the agreement accomplished, it never did. So the Board of Zoning Appeals basically revoked their special use that was given 20 years ago is what happened, not a zoning change. It was always ag. But he had special use to conduct a business on that ag property if within some framework, but it never stayed within the framework. So after a lot of attempts to get it to be within the framework, the Board of Zoning Appeals decided to revoke the special use, which means he couldn't be doing the activity that was okay 20 years ago.
So with using it as a business to build pallets, you know, that was always in compliance as long as a special use permit was in effect.
If it was in effect and followed, it wasn't followed.
Right.
There was always conditions on it, that things wouldn't be, there would be very limited number of trailers. There was supposed to be basically a large building built, that everything would be inside and things like that. And they tried to, over the years, all the meetings, that number kept fluctuating because they were trying to help them out to get, help get the numbers where it was going to be workable. And so that, there was a lot of changes over, and it got real fluid. And then finally they're like, well, we're not getting anywhere. So that's, we had 2 court hearings on it.
So like, for example, some of the things, instead of asking for a large building to be built, you asked for fencing to be put up around the trailers and the pallets, which I know you put some fencing up there too. So, But then it kind of came to where the Board of Zoning Appeals felt that it was still not in compliance, and then it came to the courts. Is that?
It's been there was a mediation once that happened, and then it actually went in front of Judge Kugelhahn once, and he ordered it to be cleaned up, and we've never done that yet either, because again, that's what we're kind of asking about, how that even works. And then after even all those things being put in place by a judge, it still didn't change at all out there, and that's when it came in front of the Board of Zoning Appeals again. And they just said, man, we've tried everything, to get this under what it's supposed to do. It's been 20 years, or like, I don't know how many hearings. I think you have the papers, it's, I don't know, 15.
Yeah, and I don't have that with me. I know Megan put a timeline together of the interactions.
A lot of hearings, and they just finally decided to throw their hands up and say, it's not gonna happen, so we're gonna revoke it, and just clean it all up and put it back to ag. Ag use is the only thing allowed there.
So at this point, what's determining what happens on that property is the court order.
Yes.
Okay,
It should be
and
cleaned
the
up.
court order says it needs to be,
Anything can stay that's considered ag use.
okay. What all do you have there that's considered ag use?
Well, several of the trailers are full of all the farm equipment that my dad had.
Okay,
There's one trailer that's got straw in it. There's one trailer that's got a building in it. There's one trailer that's got a whole bunch of the stuff for modeling the house in, if I get that far. At this point, I'm not sure that's gonna happen.
right.
There's a farm truck there that we were gonna reassemble. We've got a chassis there, and we've got a wore-out chassis with a grain bed on it. We've got a farm tractor sitting there,
How much land do you own?
3¼ acres,
How many?
3¼
3¼ okay.
And
So,
there is a fence across the front, even though nobody can seem to see it.
yeah.
When we was in court, Mark and his attorney said there is not a fence there.
Well, there's kind of, when I come past there fairly often, there's a partial fence there, not a complete fence, but, so I guess at this point, are you planning to remove the stuff like, there's quite a bit of pallets there. I mean, there's like stacks and stacks. Are you planning to remove stacks and the non-agricultural equipment, or what are your plans?
Yes.
'Cause-
Every winter, it seems like I don't like working outside in the cold anymore.
Yeah,
We get behind. I've hauled away 2 loads this week. I've got another load loaded. Everything in front of the fence should pretty much be gone within 2 weeks.
well, and at this point, as far as determining compliance,
Well, they keep changing the rules every time I'm there. I was in compliance once for 4 days because I got in compliance on Sunday. And then on Thursday at their meeting, they gave me another set of rules that puts me not back in compliance.
yeah, legally, is that Mark that determines compliance, or is that, does the judge, does he appoint somebody to determine? I mean, at what point do we say, yes, you're in compliance, no, you're not in compliance, we're gonna come in and remove any equipment that's not agricultural?
Well, we just gotta go back and look at the court order. We'll
Yeah.
go back and look and see what was ordered. And and then inspect, and if it's not in compliance with a court order, then we get an order from the sheriff. And I think there was a limit on the number of trailers that could be there. And if there's more than that, then the sheriff hauls them out and they're sold.
What's our timeline on something like that? Because I know, we've kind of over the years, I know you've given grace periods for compliance. Are we at the end of our grace period, or where are we at?
I mean, according to the board, not me, that's yes. I mean, when they said no more special use, they were done. And if there could be, like we said before, it takes money. If we act on it, it's going to take some funds to do what needs done there. But if you guys agreed to a date, so that everybody knows that by this date, If it's not where it needs to be according to the order, that's when things will start happening from the county side, you know. I don't know. We've never experienced it before, so nobody wants to do this, but that's where we're at.
Well, considering the interactions that have happened over many, what is it, 20 years? You guys have been, you know, attempting to work together on this. And it doesn't seem like there's much progress. You know, I don't know, as you haul pallets away or haul non-agricultural equipment away, how much time would you say it would take to have nothing there except ag?
I honestly don't know,
Yeah,
because I work a second job also. You know, last year I had no vacation because we don't have an extra driver.
okay.
I'm on vacation this week, vacation I should have taken last year. I'm on vacation in 2 weeks for vacation.
Yeah.
Last year.
Because it sounds like it has to be brought into compliance whether you do it or whether we hire contractors to do it. That's what it's kind of sounding like to me, according to without having looked at the court order. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know what you gentlemen are hearing, but it sounds like it needs to be brought into compliance whether you do it or whether we hire somebody to come in and do it. So, and then if that were to happen, like Mark says, we would have expenses, and then those expenses would have to be accommodated for through the sale of pallets or equipment or whatever. So, at this point, it sounds like the Board of Zoning Appeals is done negotiating. It sounds like there's a court order and that's going to be enforced one way or another. So that's kind of what I'm hearing. And that's why I asked Mark to come down when you came today, because I thought, let's just talk this out and see what we need to do. So,
In all honesty, I don't feel I've ever been treated fairly by that board either,
so,
because they keep talking about complaints. Every time I ask for information on the complaints, I'm told I can't have them.
yeah. And
So,
Mark, have you heard anything about that in meetings that,
The complaint is that he was given a special use that had conditions and he's never met them. Nobody has to drive past and complain. If you came in, anybody shows up to the Board of Zoning Appeals and says, I want to start a car repair business. I'm not 2 employees and, you know, and they say, okay, but, you know, cars should be inside your garage and there should be no more than 4 that you're working on parked outside any time. Then they park 12 of them or 20 of them and they stay that way forever. They never get there. Then they're out of compliance. And so that's our job I bring it up to the board. I say, what do you want to do now? And they're like, yeah, that's not what you said. I said, they want to hear it. They're bringing it. So,
You know, that ordinance that we adopted.
Are there complaints or are there no complaints in your file with your office?
I think it's still down there. They said
I don't have it back.
Outside
You want a copy of it?
You know, members of your board have talked to you.
When we get
Might be
down
on
there.
it. Might be right there on the table.
I guess my question then is, if you knew there were no complaints, why did you not correct the board members?
We're not doing this because I don't know what to talk. But I'm telling you, it's never been in compliance. That's why you come.
well, then,
But it started in 2000 with Neil Ogg. It started December of '99. He sent me a short 1-paragraph notice, said there's a problem with your property, you need to contact me. I did. He said he can't find anything where I have a permit to have a business there. I've had a permit for that business since like 1984. I gave him the numbers, he found it. He said, that's not currently what you're doing, you need to get a special use permit. I said, who complained? He said, nobody, you just need to change the thing. Then I get to the board and he says he's got a complaint.
well, and I guess we're not here today to renegotiate the whole process. You know, in my mind, the process has played itself out between the Plan Commission, the Board of Zoning Appeals, and your business. And we've kind of come to the point where, you know, the Board of Zoning Appeals has determined, and the judge has determined that you're not in compliance with the special use permit. So I guess, Mark, if you were to begin looking for a contractor to remove non-agricultural products and equipment, how much time would you need to make those arrangements?
Yeah. Yeah, scan them.
Figured out, you know, I think it would take
I have a copy. It's two guys. Oh, okay. So just take that. Okay.
find somebody and then, you know, it's time to
Send you
get there,
the-
I'm sure everybody's busy. I think it'd be at least 90 days for somebody to do something there.
Okay, so if, would it be appropriate to say, you know, if we re-inspect the property in 30 days, if it's non-compliant, then we would contract people to come in and actually remove non-agricultural product and equipment. If after that 30 days, if you yourself are determined to be compliant, and whether we use Mark Wynn to determine that or not, I guess that would be part of the mediation, that you would have to agree that whoever we're using to determine that compliance, you're going to agree with. So I don't know if you have somebody, or if you both have somebody in mind that you both could agree that, yes, this person is objective and this person will be fair. Do you have anybody that you would suggest? Whether that would be, yeah, so, Mark, do you have anybody that you would suggest, whether it's yourself or somebody else, that you and Vernon would agree would be fair and objective? I mean, do you have,
Maybe a board member of the PTA.
yeah, is there a board member of the BZA that you would agree to be that person?
I'm not even sure who's on it this year, so I don't know.
Yeah. Steve, do you know who else is on that?
I think that board member, that board has stayed pretty much the same, hasn't it?
Been the same the last couple of years, it's Pat Laus and Aaron Salkini and.
Mr. Iker.
And Phil Iker.
How about if, would, somebody from the sheriff's department be objective to say, you know,
If I had to go out and actually walk it, again, none of this is fun, but if I had to go out there, I would want that, because I've already talked to Sheriff Mayor, that's, that would be somebody that would be out.
you know, that would be somebody that would be outside of the board, which you've kind of had conflict on their determination. And it would be outside of your business permit, you know, and I would look to, you know, letting somebody on the sheriff's department inspect, you know, and they would have the court order and the compliance issues in hand. They would look at the property and, you know, within 30 days, if they would determine you're compliant, we move on. If they determine you're not compliant, then we would ask Mark to continue and make arrangements to remove product and equipment that was not compliant. So I don't know if something like that.
Well, I, again, you know, so you're gonna inspect it, I'm gonna say this is ag, somebody else says it's not ag.
Yeah, that's why it has to be somebody that's as objective, that you both can agree on, you know. And I don't know how to be more fair about moving forward with a court order. I mean, it's a court order. It's not like somebody's opinion. It's a court order, and you know, we can't just ignore that either. So, but that's why you know, like I say, you've had a difference of opinion with the Board of Zoning Appeals and Mark, and I understand that. So I would almost feel like maybe somebody outside of that, and the most objective body I can think of is to serve court orders is the sheriff's department. So,
Like I say, I'm disappointed now that at this point, he's finally telling me there is no complaint, because complaints have been talked about for years.
Well, and that's where, this has been ongoing to where I don't want to review the whole entire process because it's played itself out. So, yeah. But, so I guess, we'll, let us talk to the sheriff and see if either himself or he has somebody within his department, and we'll propose that as the person to determine compliance after 30 days. Was that, I don't know. I don't want to speak for you guys. What's your thoughts on bringing this to a?
Well, I've sat back there and listened to the BZA, Vernon, and I know you're not in compliance. I'm not trying to pick on you or anything else, but you're always wanting to you always have a negative for everything they try to tell you. You always have a negative for it.
And part of that comes from the fact that I was told there was a complaint
Well,
after.
see, I'm trying to have a conversation here and immediately you jump to a negative. I'm just wanting to have a conversation with you. It sounds to me like I would get in compliance because by the end of the summer, you might not even have nothing out there, and that's about all I got to say.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's, the court order, I think, just is, obviously that came about after a long protracted time of discussion and negotiation, and I sat where Steve sat on the plan commission and listened to some of those BZA discussions as I was waiting on the plan commission to start, and I know it's been a protracted discussion. So I think that ultimately the court order just has to be instituted and given a reason, given a certain time. It's 30 days. I think that's fine, Stan, 30 days. And after 30 days, somebody's going to come out and look at your property and they're going to say that this is ag-related. It's not, and if, I'm a farmer at heart. I'm not a farmer today, but I grew up on a farm. And if you tell me you've got a bunch of ag equipment there for a 3.5 acre piece of property, I'm going to say, what the hell are you farming? It's like that would be the practical approach that says you're farming anything on 3.5 acres. You may have a truck patch or a garden that you're farming, but to have a bunch of farm equipment stored inside of a trailer setting on a 3 acre plot of ground and say that that's ag related, that would be a hard sell with me. And I'm as objective as I can be in this thing. I don't even know your property, but that would be a tough sell with me. So I think that's fair to give you 30 days to get the crap gone, do what you can to liquidate it, get as much money out of it as you can, get it gone. That would be my advice to you. Clean it up and get it gone.
Thank you.
All right. All right, so today is April 11th, so on May 11th, we'll plan on an inspection at that property. So